work, they play, they study, and most important of all, they buy.
You see it everywhere, every ad, every product, every brand promise the same thing: happiness. You're not just buying Coca-Cola, you're buying the holiday spirit. You're not just paying for some Jordans, you're buying confidence and looking cool. You're not just subscribing to Netflix, you're buying belonging, the chance to join in on the conversation everyone else is having. And the thing is, it's all very intentional. Companies figured out long ago that something so universal and simple, that people wanting to be happy, is the world's most valuable commodity. And they have built trillion-dollar industries on top of it. So today, we are talking about your happiness and how it became a product and what you can do to take it back. For most of history, advertising was simple and straightforward. Marketing was all about utility and function. A car moved you from point A to point B, soap cleaned your hands, and coffee kept you awake. But that all changed after World War II, as American factories switched from building tanks to producing consumer goods. But businesses faced a new problem, that they had too much inventory. People already had what they needed. Now companies had to convince people to buy more than they actually required. And this is where modern marketing was born. Instead of selling products, companies began to sell feelings. Coca-Cola stopped advertising its drink as refreshing or tasty. Instead, it told you to open happiness. Disneyland didn't just call itself an amusement park, it became the happiest place on earth. And that tagline didn't describe roller coasters, the food, or even the ticket price. It sold an emotion. And it worked. Every year, millions of families save up or even go into debt just to buy the promise of that feeling. And by the late 20th century, this became the industry standard. Nike didn't just sell shoes, it told you to just do it. Apple didn't advertise computers, it told you to think different. And these slogans worked because they weren't about products anymore. They were about you. Buying the product became a way to buy into an identity, a lifestyle, and even a sense of purpose. The powerful truth is that businesses discovered people don't buy products, people buy feelings, and the most powerful feeling that they can sell you is happiness. And psychologists have a name for this, the hedonic treadmill. You feel a rush of joy when you buy something new, but that feeling fades quickly. Your brain adapts, so you chase the next purchase, the next upgrade, the next little high. And companies know this and they exploit it. Look at Apple. Their ads rarely talk about megapixels, processors, or storage. Instead, they show you people creating music, capturing memories, or connecting with loved ones. You are buying the idea of belonging, and luxury brands take this to the extreme. Rolex doesn't market a watch or being able to tell the time on your wrist. Instead, it markets success. Louis Vuitton doesn't sell you a bag, it sells status. And if you want to feel like you've made it, you need this particular handbag, no matter the price or financial damage. Even if you do buy the happiness, it's fleeting. The sense of fulfillment always slips away, so you keep buying, always trying to reach that feeling that never arrives. And this whole cycle blurs the line between real happiness and an artificial version companies create for you. And that dopamine hit from a new purchase fades in days, sometimes hours. The new sneakers you just bought becomes just another pair in your closet, and that new phone feels normal in about a week. And that gap between what you expect and what you get isn't an accident, it's intentional, and it keeps you on the treadmill. We grow up believing that joy comes from what we buy, and that is when companies win. Everything is centered on your happiness, and sometimes even the smallest things in our daily lives. It's why everything you eat has essentially become a sugar dessert, because sugar makes you happy. Or take the wellness industry, it's worth over $5.6 trillion today. It sells you meditation apps, organic foods, yoga retreats, supplements, and essential oils, all packaged as a way to achieve balance and some joy. But wellness isn't sold as a practice, it's sold as a subscription. Or look at self-care. Originally a psychological concept, it's now a marketing goldmine. The way to achieve inner peace comes with a price tag, a scented candle, a jade roller, or even a $12 bath bomb. And each item is marketed as essential to your well-being. So ask yourself, do they deliver lasting happiness, or do they just give you a fleeting sense of calm that you have to keep repurchasing? You're buying objects, sure, but you're also buying yourself, or at least a version of you a company wants you to believe in. And again, a lot of times companies make us think that what we are buying is making us happy, when in reality, It's completely manufactured. It's something that we were told that we want. And all of this really just leads to financial strain and emotional debt, which I would argue is the exact opposite of true happiness. It's short-term happiness for long-term sadness. Meanwhile, the financial side is pretty rough. Household debt in the United States has passed 18.39 trillion, and a huge share of that comes from credit cards and personal loans used for non-essential spending. And what counts as non-essential? Sure, it's different for everyone, but it's really the very things marketed as happiness: luxury items, entertainment, rental shopping, all financed on credit. And over half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and many of them aren't falling behind because of just medical bills or housing alone, but because consumer culture encourages constant emotional spending. And the secret is that this model depends on your dissatisfaction. Companies want you to be unhappy. A happy person is a terrible customer, and the same can be said for a person who is financially savvy. Someone who finds joy and fulfillment in their family and who has hobbies doesn't need to buy the next gadget. And that's why companies design ads to highlight what you lack. They want you to feel inadequate so they can sell you the fix. But the fix, it never fixes. And perhaps the real question behind all of this: what is happiness? And how do you tell it apart from the versions that companies sell you? In psychology, there's a difference between pleasure and fulfillment. Pleasure is quick and temporary. The dopamine spike when you open your new handbag, taste some sugary pancake, or post a picture on Instagram and get all those likes and attention from friends and strangers. Fulfillment is deeper and longer lasting. It comes from relationships, personal growth, being creative, and having a purpose. And the problem is that pleasure is easy to sell, while fulfillment is not. Think about your happiest memories. Chances are, they aren't tied to products. They are tied to experiences, laughing with friends, achieving something hard, or sharing some good time with your family. And there are studies to back this up. Research from Cornell University found that experiences bring people more enduring happiness than material purchases even years later. But experiences are harder for companies to sell. They can sell you a trip to Disney, but they can't sell you that genuine bond you feel with your kids on a normal Saturday in your local park. So they sell you the next big thing. They market experiences that come with a price tag. And people start associating that the higher the price tag, the higher the fulfillment. But it's the exact opposite. Sometimes in life, the most gratifying and fulfilling things are free. And here's the irony. When you stop chasing marketed happiness and focus on fulfillment, reading a book, going for a walk, cooking with friends, all of these are inexpensive or free, but they give you joy and happiness that lasts far longer than a new fancy gadget you upgrade every year that does the exact same thing. And the system behind all of this wants you to forget that. It wants you to equate happiness with consumption. And it's also to shape your idea of a good life. So how do you step off the treadmill? Start by asking yourself simple questions. Am I buying this because I truly want it, or because I've been told it will make me happier? And does this add long-term value to my life, or just a short-term high? And is this happiness mine, or is it manufactured? Retail therapy is the idea that shopping can lift your mood when you feel stressed, bored, or unhappy. Swiping your card becomes a quick way to get a hit of dopamine. And it works for a moment. A $5 latte feels like a ritual of joy. A new car feels like you're successful. But all those feelings eventually fade, but the debt, it stays. The average American household now spends over $70,000 a year, with a huge portion going towards consumer goods marketed as joy. And all that spending creates this illusion of happiness while quietly draining your financial stability. And you can break out of that, but it takes some effort. The best way to fight the business of happiness is with your own money habits. If you align your spending with your values, you stop being such an easy target. So redirect your non-essential spending into investments. The average American spends about $1,500 per month on non-essential products, subscriptions, and services that are marketed as happiness but often only provide you temporary pleasure. But imagine if you redirected that money into an investment earning 7% annually. In 10 years, it would grow to around $230,000. In 20 years, it would become $620,000. In 30 years, it would grow to roughly $1.4 million. And that is the power of conscious spending. What once fueled fleeting pleasure can, over time, really just change your life and give you freedom and long-term happiness. Does money itself make you happy? Probably not. But money does solve all your problems in life that do require money. And practice value spending. Spend on what truly fulfills you. If travel makes you happy, make it a priority. If you enjoy learning, buy books or courses. So really think about what makes you happy and fulfills your life. Cut back on things you buy just because an ad told you they matter. And again, the point isn't to eliminate the fun, it's to make sure it's intentional and sustainable. Real happiness and real joy comes when your money serves you and not when it traps you. And to wrap this up, happiness and joy is essential in all of our lives, and there's no denying that. But so many companies sell you on emotion and nostalgia, and honestly, they don't care about you or your happiness, only as long as it keeps bringing in profits. So you don't owe them your paycheck or your peace of mind. And it's not about buying things, it's about buying the right things. At the end of the day, it's capitalism, consumerism, and overconsumption. And that's it. Let me know what you think about happiness and this consumer culture we live in that's quietly draining our lives and wallets in the comments below. And if you enjoy videos like this blend of consumerism, pop culture, and finance, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. Thank you very much for watching. We live in a world where everything is just luring us in with dopamine. And one of the most magical places on earth does this to millions of adults every single year. So check out the next video on how Disney adults are going broke and don't even know it, all for a few days of fun.